Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids, and in today's video, we have a whole bunch of new stuff happening. We'll come to the actual details in a second. But yeah, there's a big new event happening in Raid. The event dungeon is back. A cool new mythical, new relics, all sorts of new stuff. So we are going to dive in. They actually didn't reveal to me in this info deck the name of the event, but we do have a little trailer that they've just shared on Discord. Sorry, that's very loud. I'm sorry about that. Let me turn that down a bit. Let's check out this trailer first of all, then we'll dive in. Oh, it's still very loud. Cool. Someone fell off a tower. More to Macap or Soul Drinker, who knows? But Chaos Awakens. How sick is that? So things like Demon Spawn logo and then Dwarves and Sylvan. So this looks like it's going to be the theme of this event, and it does seem like it's going to be a raid event, just something within raid itself, which is cool. Let's check out the details. And I said in my video yesterday, this was funny that I said in my video yesterday, oh, it's probably a new event dungeon or something coming up, and then they gave us the info deck before that video went live, and I was like, oh no, I swear I recorded that video before you told us there was an event dungeon coming. But hey, here we go. So let's take a look-see at this. The event dungeon is back, and this time a brand new mythical champion will be featured as the dungeon boss for the first time, giving raiders a chance to fight a two-phase boss. Karosa the Covetous, Amius the Lunar Archon is so shit even they forgot he exists. Sad but true. Despite being a support type champion in her base form, her abilities still scale off of attack, which she also fully utilizes in her alternate form as an attack nuker. During the fight, players will need to adapt their teams in order to push through her defensive buffs in the base form, which she uses to protect not only herself but her allies as well. At the same time, you have to account for her hard-hitting nukes in the alternate form. I'm assuming that it going back to the two-phase, I think she'll be fighting while her allies are alive. We'll see when we look at her skill kit, but fighting while her allies are alive in Form 1. And then when you kill her allies, I think she then switches to Form 2 and probably stays in Form 2. So she'll be Form 1 for the first chunk, unless you kill her with just a bunch of newts and resets, which might be a thing. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Also, being forged in flames, Karosa is now better protected from HP burn debuffs compared to previous bosses. She will only take 1% for max HP as HP burn damage, unique to her event dungeon boss role. So basically, they're making HP burn weaker in the event dungeon. This is mostly to stop champs like Sulfurion. It's a bit of a bummer. It's one of the more accessible strategies. I'm curious, are they going to nerf enemy max HP? Like, do I just run Marius and a couple of newts and reset them and one-shot the boss again? Or what? So I don't know. Like, for example, we haven't got to any hard mode Faction Wars bosses yet on the live server, but those bosses, I think like Amius, are capped to 5% enemy max HP per hit. I would not be surprised if they did that the event dungeon as well. I'm actually surprised that they've targeted HP burn first, to be honest, because, you just Marius every event dungeon so far. Maybe we didn't have him for the first one. I don't remember now. Your go-to strategy will be to bring strong support champions with no downtime on shields or healing to protect the team from big nukes, and powerful DDs. So DDs, this is a brass eyes. No, this is direct damage or damage dealers. I don't know which one they mean. Deal with Karosa herself and her subjects. Her kit will feature 2 new buffs as well. So the Fortify buff reduces enemy ignore defense effects by 15% or 25%, and the Shatter buff increases a champion's ignore defense effects by 7.5% or 15%. I don't know. Are these additive? Are they multiplicative? I don't know. Like, let's say if I go in with a 50% ignore defense, and they have the big version of Fortify reduce the effect by 25%. Is it additive or subtractive, I suppose, would be the other version of that? So I would go from 50 to 25%? Or would it be a multiplicative, or I guess divisibles effect, where instead of 50%, I'd be doing, oh gosh, what's that? Like 38.75% or something, I'm not sure how that works. And likewise, if I go in with 50% ignore defense, will 15% with a big shatter buff push me up to 65%? Or would it give me, I don't know, if I was at 50, it push me up to I don't know, like 54% or something, 56%. I don't know. So we'll have to test that and find out. But let's take a look at her base form. This is her Herosa the Covetous. So she is a Force Affinity mythical from the Demon Spawn. I guess one question I can tell you right now: how do we obtain this mythical? We do not have information on that yet. However, I will speculate gladly for you. She will almost definitely not be a fusion. I mean, think about the previous event dungeon bosses, Odin and Queen of Hearts. They were not accessible. They are chase champions, and I think she will be the chase champion of this event as well. I do think we will get a fusion that is part of this event, and they're probably going to be pretty good, because all the event fusions have been pretty darn solid. So yeah, we'll see. But no, I don't think you'll be able to get her easily. And my speculation is that this might be the first 10x mythical champion. We might have a 2x for mythicals from Primal Shards with the 10x for her. That is my guess. And I assume she'll join the normal pool then after, just the same, because she's not, although she's an event champion, it's a raid IP. It's not, like Ronda Rousey or something, where there's going to be legal limitations and restrictions. So yeah, that would be my guess. Mythicals and primals, because of monetization, is in such a weird spot where there's probably a bunch of you going, Nub, a 10x for mythicals? Like, I've never even pulled one. This seems too early. Then at the same time, you've got all these Krakens that are going like, man, I've got all half my mythicals are +4. Give me some more mythicals. It's such a bizarre and absurd situation where they've made mythicals almost impossible to get outside of outside of buying primals. At least, sorry, mythicals that you pull from primals. They're almost impossible to get. You get so few of them unless you're extremely lucky. It's far too extreme. Anyway, that's a topic for another video. Let's look at the actual damn champion, shall we? Surge of Chaos attacks all enemies, heals all allies. Value of the heal is proportional to her attack. That's probably going to be very strong as the boss. Because she's going to have very high attack, one would think, as the boss. And you imagine the boss might be lacking some crit rate and will make up for it with really high HP attack and defense. Usually pretty standard. But cool. AoE 1 is fun, always. Anything for Siroth. I do like the name of the passive. It's a 4-turn books to a 3-turn. Removes all debuffs from all allies. Puts increased attack and shield on them. The value of the shield is proportional to their attack. Again, for the boss, that's going to be very, very strong, and one assumes you're going to need to bring like some buff removal or block buffs, quite possibly. Packmaster Shayak back for another event dungeon, perhaps. Actually, no, because she just removed his block buffs. You're gonna have to bring buff removal. You're gonna have to let her buff up and then remove the shield, because I imagine the shield's gonna be quite big. But yeah, so cleanse with increased attack and shield. It's powerful. It's strong. Raka Viletide, anybody? I think she has the same move. Running Rampant, 5-turn books to a 4-turn cooldown, places Taunt and Fortify on this champion for 2 turns. So Fortify making those ignore defense effects weaker. Also puts Unkillable on all allies except this champion for 2 turns. So we've got 2 turns Unkillable on a 4-turn cooldown, which is fairly standard for the legendaries. And then Taunt for 2 turns on a 4-turn cooldown. Again, fairly standard for legendaries. You combine the two things together with that nice new Fortify buff, and ta-da, you've got yourself a mythical skill. She's got her Metamorph, standard, but I think, yeah, she's got some Metamorph stuff happening in her passive. Collector of Pawns. So the passive was always there. Receive 15% less damage for each alive ally. Now that is going to make the event dungeon difficult, because that is 60% less damage. Again, enemy max HP. Probably just hit the cap anyway, that's right. Decreased defense and weaken, they'll probably hit the cap depending on how it's coded. I don't know, we'll find out. But it's a huge amount of damage reduction for allies who are alive. Then the active effect has a 4-turn cooldown. Instantly transform them into the alternate form when the last living ally is killed. So she's coming in as a tank, very much a tank. She's very survivable. And yeah, it's really hard to kill her. She's going to be taking less damage because of Fortify. She's going to be taking less damage for alive allies. But if you actually, and she's protecting her allies substantially, but if you kill the allies, she will transform it to form 2. It's a cool kit. It makes a lot of sense. It synergizes. She's got 35% ally attack in all battles aura. Again, I think she's probably going to be the leader of the dungeon, so any attack enemies in the dungeon will hit fairly hard. Yeah, it's a sick little kit. It's going to be very strong for players, as pretty strong for players as well. Yeah, just a good support. And it's interesting. She has the it's sort of the nice style thing, right? It's not like Siegfried. Siegfried will transform passively like this, but Siegfried cannot do his transformation actively. She's like a nice the Shadow Thief, where she does it passively, but she can also trigger it early if she wants to. I personally have no issue, by the way, with Siegfried. I know some people have a big issue with Siegfried. They're like, why can I not transform actively? I don't know why every mythical metamorph has to be an active. I think having some with unique conditions is actually kind of cool. Why not? Bit of variety. It's cool. I'm surprised they haven't done another one, I guess, because the negative feedback. But I disagree with the negative feedback personally, but hey, that's just me. And the alternate form looks like a mix of Thea the Tomb Angel and like Crutraxa or something like that. Pretty sick looking. I like it. She becomes an attack damage dealer here. Destroyer of all, the A1. Attacks one enemy 3 times. If this attack kills an enemy, does pure damage to all other enemies. If the other enemies are not bosses or minions, the amount of pure damage dealt is equal to 30% of the initial target's max HP. If the other enemies are bosses or minions, pure damage dealt is equal to 10% of their max HP, and the attack cannot be critical. Okay, so triple hit A1, usually pretty decent. If she kills somebody against champions, so for wave content, for arena, for siege, it will do 30% max HP hit based off of the first target. So if you, like, whatever, bam, you nuke their Duchess, great. It's actually going to hit the rest of their team for probably about 30,000 or 35,000, maybe 40,000 max HP hit. Pretty strong, very strong. If you kill a damage dealer, someone with not much max HP, it's going to be a lot weaker. And yeah, it can be a 10% max HP hit against bosses or minions. That's not crazy useful. Like, none of the clan bosses have minions that you can kill. You don't kill any clan boss, and they're the harder and more important bosses. Will be helpful for faction wars. Very helpful. Very strong for faction wars. Hard, and some Doom Tower bosses, stuff like that. Yeah, cool. I'd say some of the hardest bosses, though, again, like Amius and the clan bosses, they don't have any minions, so you can't ever kill anything and trigger it. Icon of Havoc, a 3-turn cooldown, attacks all enemies. Before attacking, steals all buffs from all enemies. Targets whose attack is lower than this champion's attack cannot resist this effect. Oof. And also puts weaken on all enemies for 2 turns. Targets whose attack is equal to or lower than hers cannot resist this effect. So you build her super high attack. She's getting more healing, more shielding in Form 1, and I think more damage. I think she scales off attack probably for damage in Form 1 is what, did they say that? I don't remember. But yeah, the attack is going to not only make her hit really hard in Form 2, it will make her effects irresistible as well. Yeah, so like their damage, like other attack nukers might not have the irresistible thing, but it's highly unlikely that they will be built with a resistance anyway. So for the most part, she's pretty much always going to be stealing all buffs and putting weaken, and it won't fail almost all the time, which is very strong. This is very scary to fight in the event dungeon as well. You're going to be somewhat reliant on protection sets or champions with protected buffs to stop this from happening, because yeah, getting all your buffs stolen, getting a weaken, and then being smacked is going to be really nasty. Ruthless Agent, her A3, 5 books to a 4-turn cooldown, puts a 15% shatter buff and a 30% increased crit rate buff on this champion for 3 turns. Places True Fear on all enemies for 1 turn. Targets whose attack is equal to or lower cannot resist the effect and grants an extra turn. Yep, that's pretty scary. So she buffs her ignore defense, presumably just plus 15% ignore defense, plus 30% crit rate. So again, you can build her with 70% crit rate and sort of get away with it. It's a 3-turn buff as well. It's up for a long time. AoE True Fear, that basically can't be resisted, and then extra turn straight into AoE buff steal, and so on. Obviously in like arena and stuff like that, and depending on her AI, if you have block debuff, I don't know which you will do first, but in Arena, you might be forced to do the AoE buff steal first. And if you don't build her with 100% crit rate, then this might not hit that hard. You might fail to crit, and that could be a bummer. Maybe you just go for this anyway, but the True Fear might be blocked by block debuffs. So what will she do as the boss? Will she do A3, A2? In which case you can stop the True Fear of block debuffs, but then she'll steal block debuffs off you, which is pretty bad. Or do you use someone with the protected block debuffs to try to not have her steal it? Difficult to make that reliable unless you've got a Latrion Blade Master. But yeah, kind of cool. There we go. She's got a Metamorph to transform back. Again, this extra turn in here means she can cycle back to her Form 1 fairly quickly. And then Vile Murderess deals 15% more damage for each dead ally, and each critical hit... Oh, wow. Each critical hit boosts her turn meter by 10% for each dead ally. Oh my god, that's insane. And yeah. So, you know, in Arena, she's going to have 3 dead allies. She's going to do 45% bonus damage. She's going to hit so hard. And every crit will give her 30% turn meter. So if she does an AoE and crits everyone, she just gets 100... Yeah, that's insane. If she has 3 dead allies and she does an AoE, hits 4 targets, she gets 120% turn meter. That's bonkers. That is bonkers. Holy shit. And then she just goes into another move. She's going to cycle through her turns so fast. That passive is insane. That's crazy. So it seems like the way you would deal with her if you're fighting against her is you want to kill a couple of her allies. She doesn't have a revive or anything, but you want to kill like 1 or 2, probably kill 2 of her team, and then kill her before you kill the last person. You don't want her to swap into this form. Now, interesting, she transforms into alternate form. I don't know if she gets a turn straight away, so she might switch into the alternate form, and then you might be able to kill her before she does anything. So that's certainly very possible too. I don't know if she's going to get... Yeah, you might be able to just kill her. Kind of like, you know, especially with Marius. Marius probably just hard counters her in Arena. Kind of like a nice the Shadow Thief as well. But yeah, it seems pretty cool. Let me know what you think about her. I think she seems super fun to play with. Very strong. She's going to be tough to play against. Yeah, she's sick. Congrats to anyone who gets her. Okay, more info. Artifacts. Aside from the existing artifact set, so accuracy, crit rate, crit damage, curing, and days. Also be pinpoint will be back for the event dungeon, so it's the exact same as it's been the last few times. Pinpoint is one of the best sets in the game. It is insanely good. It's absolutely well worth farming. One other thing to note, Days set is helpful for some hard mode faction crypts. So this could be a good way to maybe get just 1 set of Days that's decent as well. That will help you with some of the land sleep conditions if you don't have sleep champions. So watch out for that. Relics. There are a bunch of relics. Let's move me out of the way. We don't have any info on them, but we do have their icons. And I mean, the icons look cool. They'd certainly look demonic. So yeah, we've got relic icons. Exciting stuff. 8 exclusive themed relics. So this is kind of great. So the previous event dungeon, or the Alice one, there was 2 event relics. 2. This time there's 8. So they have, they've massively increased the number of relics. I'm guessing it will be 2 rare, 2 epic, 2 legendary, and 2 mythical. But yeah, there was a ton of ways to get fragments for the Alice relics. Very expensive, tons of events, tons of tournaments. I think that was probably massively successful for them, and they've just pushed this further. Again, it does say exclusive, so yeah. I wonder if they might bring some of these event relics back in the future, but for now, I guess we work off the assumption that they're sort of a one-time only. I do think they'll probably bring them back at some point. But for now, let's assume they're one-time only, or maybe they'll only show up every year or 2 or something like that. So yeah, if you want to get these relics, presumably they're going to be incredibly good. It's probably going to be really worthwhile trying to grab as many of the relic fragments as you can, and then cross your fingers, hope you're lucky to actually forge up the legendary and mythical ones, most likely. During the campaign, players will be able to obtain unique crafting materials for these relics in the selected tournaments and events. So yeah, it's tournaments and events. That's how you're going to get them. Save your resources. I mean, we've been saying this for a while, right? That we're due another event dungeon. I mean, we said this about the last fusion and everything as well, that, you know, there's going to be an event dungeon coming soon. And if there's relics in there, you're going to want to stockpile. So hopefully you have been stockpiling at least some resources if you can. And yeah, it looks likely to pay off. And then finally, a coalition event, which seems cool. An upcoming campaign will feature a brand new collaborative type of event in which collective efforts of all players is necessary or are necessary to reach a shared goal. More details will be shared soon. Oh yeah, presumably this will be, I don't know. This could be fun. They actually did something like this in like web events before, that you could click a thing in the game, a link in the game that was hard to find, and it would bring you to a web page. And everyone had to do a certain amount of dragon fights, a certain amount of ice golem fights, whatever. Spend a certain amount of silver on accessory upgrades. That sort of thing. Fight certain amount in arena. Blah blah blah. I think it's going to be the same sort of thing here. But hopefully this will actually be in-game and it will be just done a little bit better so that it's easy to find and keep track of. Yeah, so it just seems like it's going to be a fun little thing. I don't know. Like, again, there's not really much individual stuff, involved with this. There's millions of players of this game. You, the individual, don't really matter very much. But it's still a fun thing to see the bar go up and be like, oh, cool. Other people are playing the game. I'm getting some fun stuff. So, yeah, cool. I mean, I think this is just like a fun, shiny event. There's not typically very little gameplay, but I don't know. Maybe they will add in individual stuff, like you must contribute, I don't know, 50 ice golem battles to get a reward or something to qualify. I don't know. Maybe they'll do something like that. Who knows? But there you go. That's all the information, guys. Let me know what you think. Massive increase in event exclusive relics. This is either super fun or it super sucks. It depends how badly you suffer from FOMO, essentially. I think it's pretty fun, but you might absolutely hate this. I think this is almost entirely a personality thing as to whether or not it's good or bad, I think, anyway. The coalition event, again, I think is pretty fun. I do think it's gameplay-wise probably a bit of a nothing burger, but we'll see how it ends up. But it's a shiny, fun thing that's fun to look at. And like for example, the voting for the relic at the end of community weeks was a cool concept, but it ended up being a real nothing burger as well. Because like from day one, nothing really changed. It was kind of bad. Pinpoint is back, big deal. Look out for days as well for Faction Wars Hard. New mythical looks super cool. Again, my guess it's going to be a 2x, 10x to get her. Maybe 2x progressive. Maybe a 15x, 20x, 25x. Because that's useful to free to play. And she's the boss of the event dungeon. I think is pretty fun. It's pretty cool. And I love the probably unintentional insult to Amius the Lunar Archon, though in my opinion, he deserves it. There we go, guys. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think about this. What was it called? I've forgotten. Chaos Awakes. Let me know what you think of this first look at Chaos Awakes. And yeah. I'll see you soon. Whenever we got more info, I will share it. See you soon, and goodbye.